Welcome, flip clock fans. And here's that Cosmo flip clock I talked about in a previous video. I don't usually start with the clock all the way apart, but this is a special case and you'll find out why. It's the Cosmo model F-101A. This clock appeared around 1980 or so. It's priced about $12 and that's about $40 in today's dollars. It wasn't a real expensive clock. This clock is another Cosmo. It's a Cosmo F-101, and it was more in the newspapers and in the stores than this one, the F-101A. So this one's a little more rare, and I kind of like it. It's got a quirky look, but it's got some issues. This is the mechanism. It's kind of a clunky mechanism. It's similar to a Sankyo mechanism, and it doesn't have a good reputation. Here's the tines. They're kind of rubbery. The minutes are separated out, each individual number there. And it's just not a very satisfying flip going on there. I know it's kind of strange to say, but the quality just doesn't feel like it's there. But the issue here with this clock was how to get it apart. And I mean to tell you, it was a struggle. So I hope this helps somebody. This is the alarm set knob. You see that hole there? That was a hidden screw. There was no indication there was another screw holding this together. The place it screwed into was on the front piece, and there you can see where it's broken off. Now, either myself or the person who had this open previously did that. The piece that came off of it was still stuck to the screw on the other side, on the other base. So I'm going to go ahead and repair that. I still don't know yet if I'm going to put that screw back. We'll see. But what I noticed initially was this tab over here on the left, on your left here, this tab was broken off, and you could hear it clunking around inside the clock. And the screw was missing. So there on the left, that's where that tab, I could tell it was missing. I had to take a lot of care in getting this clock apart. It was kind of difficult. We'll talk about that as I reassemble. And this isn't part of the issue. You see, that's got a kind of a, I don't know, like a tweezer look or a clothespin look, and that snaps down on two posts in there. And when I took that off, I was really concerned about it breaking. Never working with this clock before, I didn't know how brittle the plastic was. I had to use like a stick to push those off of those posts down there because I didn't want anything to snap. And so I still don't know how to get that off, and you'd have to get that off to get that screw out. But the rest of the clock here looks to be in really good shape. This is, you can see the tabs there on that glass, or that plastic front piece. It's got to go in. Goes in here. Cosmo. I just love that name, and I like that font. The Cosmo Time Corporation was based in Miami, Florida, and was founded in 1975 by three Cuban immigrants, Joel Newman, Victor Suarez, and Jorge Rodriguez. These three men left Juliet Electronics in Miami to form their own company. Initially focusing on the manufacture of many types of clocks and lamps in their Miami factory, they eventually contracted to have Japanese manufacturers make LED and flip clocks branded with their name. The company seems to have changed name to Cosmo Communications Corporation in 1983, and by 1990 there was no further mention of Cosmo Time Corporation. And here it is. There's that post there. I've went ahead and glued that back on, and I went ahead and glued on that tab. Now, is that going to hold when I try to snap that back in place? Again, never having worked this plastic before, I'm a little bit leery. I'm pushing on it to see if there's any give, to see if I can like relieve some pressure when that goes to be snapped in. Or maybe it doesn't even need to be snapped in. Spoiler alert. So we're going to put this clock back together, and while I do, I want to shout out to Heather and William. I bought this on their eBay store. They were really easy to work with. I appreciate them working with me. Now look here at this screw. This is kind of interesting. I went to Reddit and found out from the guys there that it's an Alcoa High Torque Type 2 conical or Connie combination slot drive. I just thought that was kind of strange that that would show up on a clock. I've never really seen one on a clock like that before. But I appreciate all the help that I got from the folks there on Reddit. If you can't find something on Google, sure find it on Reddit. So I'm just using a regular slotted screwdriver to get that back in there. Having a little trouble. Of course, we always blame being on camera for the trouble I have. I don't know why I feel the need to show you guys how to screw in a screw, but there it is. Anyway, so as I'm putting this back together, I'm anticipating what's going to happen when I get this back in there. Am I going to break something? Is it going to go together? It's an unknown to me. This is where we have to look at this. How am I going to get that in there without breaking that plastic that I glued? I use super glue to do that. I let it cure for 24 hours. It works really good. You do want to go ahead and let that cure for at least 24 hours when you do that. There's a way to accelerate that, but make sure you let it cure, because even though it feels hard, it may not be ready. So I'm giving some pressure. It actually goes in, but look at that. It does not seat. Would you believe that? It doesn't even need to be snapped in. You put that in first, so there's no pressure applied to those tabs. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, all that worry. Anyway, you put the tabs in first, and then you're going to snap it in the front. So you see those tabs there? I'm just going to push and snap. And as you see, we didn't need to put any pressure there. So I'm guessing the reverse is you'd have to give a little bit of pressure here to unsnap that. If you were going to take it apart, that'd be the way to do it instead of breaking your tab off. Again, though, we've got this screw. The screw that goes in right here. And you're thinking, why in the world did they do that? What was the point? I think the point was they didn't want us taking it apart. Now, I'm a little leery of trying to get this apart. Hopefully you can understand, but if I were you and I was taking the clock apart, I'd start here to try to get that undone without breaking your clock. So now I'm up against this situation where I'm trying to think, do I really need to put that screw in there? And that's the question. Do I really need to put that screw back in there? I don't see what purpose it's serving. And it's definitely going to cause me an issue at some point, because I'd have to take off that alarm thing, which I'm a little concerned about. After considering, I'm pretty sure I'm going to take out that screw and just not put it back. Goes against my nature. I like to have everything original, but there's just no point in doing that. So as you see, here's the knob. Again, if I was a good person, I'd snap this into place here and then show you how to get it off. Well, I don't know how to get it off. I'm not interested in breaking this clock. I'm going to snap that down in there. I would imagine you could probably try to pry that out. Again, I apologize. Maybe someday I'll get brave, or if someone does end up with this clock, please get back with me and we'll talk it through together. But for now, we're going to leave it as is, without that screw, and just snap this into place. There it goes. Again, with most things with this clock, it's not very satisfactory. The snaps are not very satisfactory. I'm just always concerned it's going to break. The front piece here, now this can be taken off without disassembling the clock, although the first time I took it off from the inside to relieve some of the pressure. But you can snap this into place, and it can be removed without I don't know why you would want to do that. If you can say anything about this clock, it is put together well as far as trying to keep people out. I'm missing one of these little screws here. I don't think it even serves a purpose. It's kind of redundant. That's that. Again, I like the looks of it. It looks good on the desk, and I'm keeping it mostly for the history of it. So what I did here, I tried to get all the dust out of there before I put it in finally. Really don't want to take it apart again. And it does run, and it does work well as far as keeping time. Again, as you see, it's not satisfactory on the sounds it makes. I know that sounds weird, but you get a sense of cheapness when you work with the clock. When I'm flipping here, I feel like I'm abusing it. I feel guilty. It just feels like I'm going to break it at any moment here. It's just part of the collection now, and it's a curiosity. And there it is, the Cosmo F-101A. The flip clock has ties to Cuba, ties to Miami. It doesn't look bad. It's interesting, it's curious, but it's hard as heck to take apart. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, you're gonna have to keep your day job, Cosmo. Anyway, thanks for taking the time.